Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Nintendo Fanboyz. And I have the world's biggest fanboy with me.
Hello, everyone.
And we have a super special show for you. We actually have a lot of stuff to talk about here today, but I'm going to throw it over to Steven, and he's going to be our maestro for today.
I am.
You are.
That's news to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, so I guess we'll talk about what we've been playing lately, what's happening, and stuff like that before we move on to the main event of the show. So, first off, my Wonderlock series is back since yesterday. As we're recording now, it's every Wednesday there'll be a new episode until we're done. Every episode is on YouTube. They're all scheduled and uploaded, so I know there will not be any screw-ups. So this series will be finished finally after 5 years. I'm glad to get that done. That was something that was in the back of my mind. I was always, I don't know, it's not a bucket list, but it's a shame list, something like that I always wanted to finish and never did. But now it's done, so at least I have that. We'll have a full playthrough of Pokemon Y on the channel. The Wonderlock will be there every Wednesday for a few months now. I don't want to spoil the ending, so I'll shut up. And thanks again to Jarrod again for ignoring the series like he always does.
You're welcome.
And I've also been playing... You big jerk.
Yeah, there it is. I was waiting for something. I'm like, there's no way he's going to let that go.
No, I never will. Especially since you said you were going to promote it on Twitter and then you forgot.
Oh
as
yeah,
usual.
let's do that. Let's go ahead and do that. I'll do that right now.
You bastard.
All right. It's being promoted as we speak because this is how we roll. This is professionalism at its highest.
Yeah. And when I ask you something, I notice that if you don't do it right away, you won't do it until I ask it again, which is annoying.
Much. Yeah.
Like
well,
my
that's
Super
me.
Mario Maker review, you forgot about it, right?
No. That hasn't been forgotten. That's basically what am I supposed to do? That's it.
All right.
No, seriously. Like at this point, I'm kind of like, well, we'll get into that. Finish your thought, and we'll get into.
Okay, so Mario Maker, like I'm now like 130 or 140 hours in. Like I've still been playing it, so we've talked about it a lot. The only other two games I want to talk about. The first one is Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. I've been playing it from start to where I am right now, which is about 5-6 hours in with my son, my oldest son. And it's a really fun game. I'm actually enjoying a lot. We'll maybe talk a bit more about it when you talk, because we actually played it together as well, because I bought you this for your birthday. Not exactly like a system seller or showstopper, but a really fun co-op game, just brainless action and slash with RPG elements to it, and a lot of good use of licensing. So a really fun game if you're a Marvel or comic book nerd like we are. You might want to check that out. And we had no issues on the online part. We played, Jarrod and I, and it was flawless. So unlike Mario Maker, that one is pretty good online. The last game I want to talk about is Fire Emblem Three Houses. I've put around 15 hours into that one. Haven't played in almost a week though. I haven't had much time lately, but it's really fun. There's a lot of new stuff in it. Really well done. The only problem I have with it is there's a bit too much exploration in my mind, and that was something I talked about before the game was released, when it was announced after E3, where they showed more of it. Is I thought that there was a bit too much exploration, like I thought there was in Shadows of Valentia, the last 3DS games. It's like I play Fire Emblem for the missions, the grid-based strategy role-playing game. I really love that. Permadeath makes it awesome, and the fact that it's not mandatory, but after each chapter there's at least one time when you need to spend about 30 minutes exploring the castle and doing various side quests, and which are just fetch quests really. It gets, like, I enjoyed it I enjoyed it in the beginning because I thought it gave me kind of like a Catherine vibe, where Catherine, if you remember, had those very, very intense and hard missions, and then
Mhm.
after those missions, they gave you like a 30-minute to an hour break in the bar where you goofed around, you had some drinks, you chatted with the characters, you played arcade games. It was very relaxing and matched really well with that style of game. And at some point, I thought this worked for Fire Emblem, but now I'm like in chapter 8 or chapter 9, and I just want to play those missions because those missions are awesome. There's some new enemies that I've never seen before that are really hard and challenging to take out. But I'm kind of like, because I know I could just skip the exploring, but I fear that if I do, I'll miss out on some stat bonuses and some items and some stuff that I don't really want to, because I'm not the biggest or the best Fire Emblem player, so I need all the advantage I can get. It's a minor nitpick, I guess, because like I said, it's not mandatory. And maybe later, I think at some point you get out of the school, and when you do, I imagine that it gets less. There's less exploring to do, but I'm not sure about that, so we'll see. So that's pretty much what I've been doing, the videos I've been doing, and the games I've been playing.
That's glorious. I keep it. Just don't say anything. So for me, this is what I was basically saying. I was alluding to before. My PC, as you guys know, basically exploded on me, and I was screwed. So I lost essentially 3 weeks, and that's really heartbreaking, and it really is heartbreaking because I go back to school essentially on Monday. So yeah, it's over. The dream is dead, and I'm really, really annoyed because I had so many plans over those 3 weeks. And you know what's even worse is that I had taken vacation time during that period specifically to work on videos. And so I was like, needless to say, I was really annoyed that I had trouble getting my graphics card in. But everything's good now. We're back in action. Everything's
And you
glorious.
now have a super PC that makes your work a lot faster.
Yeah. It just that doesn't solve the problem where
No, but I'm trying to put a positive spin here, since you're being a negative Nelly.
I'm being a negative Nelly. I am. But anyways, it was disappointing. That's all. It was really really disappointing.
Well, that's your
But
life.
yeah, apparently. So anyway, during that time though, I was playing a lot of Dragon Quest Builders 2. The final DLC was released shockingly, actually, both in Japan and in North America on August 20th. I couldn't believe that. I literally could not believe that. I think that's the first time that that's happened where we've had DLC like at the exact same time. Now the good slash bad news, depending on how you look at this, is that in Japan the game's already like 2 years old, and well, not quite, but whatever. So like by releasing the DLC packs over time, I don't know how many people actually went back and played it. So that could be viewed as a negative or a positive in the sense that the game kept being supported for this amount of time.
Wasn't the game released like in January of this year in Japan?
I thought it was last
No, it
December.
was like the beginning of this year or last
Oh, okay,
December. If it
okay.
is, it's not even a year old. So
Yeah, no. Well, yeah, exactly. That's why I corrected myself when I said 2 years. But whatever. The thing is that in North America now, like I'm surprised. I'm just was really surprised that we got that content at the exact same time, and it's a huge update. It allows you, if you don't know, you're only allowed like one island where you can do like creative building and stuff like that. Now they boosted it up to 3 islands. They also have new items that allow you to change the weather whenever you want, which is really cool. And they even added an epilogue, so the story continues, which I thought was really really cool. That's like if you're gonna do DLC for like a builders type game, I think that's a really cool way of doing it. Other news that we got like what last week or the week before was that Builders 2 hit 1.1, I think it was 1.1, right, million.
yep.
And so Steve and I had a good chat about that, talking about like, well, was that actually successful? And that's an interesting question. Really is an interesting question whether or not that's considered successful. And I don't actually know how any of these sort of side games have been performing, like Heroes and Builders this generation, and even Monsters to a lesser degree in Japan. I honestly have no idea how Dragon Quest as a franchise has been doing. I haven't really been paying attention to sales of the side games. But anyway, so I was pretty much playing that because, like, what else? Steven and I, like he said, we played a little bit of Ultimate Alliance 3 the other day, which was really funny. We'll get to that. And the last thing was that retro-inspired PC game Ion Fury, which, if you're a fan of like 90s first-person shooters, check it out. I did a review. It's on the channel if you're interested, and it was really really cool. And then as of yesterday, Steven and I are playing something else, which we'll talk about later.
All right, so you want me to talk about Marvel? You said
Yeah, I guess.
we're
Yeah,
gonna.
sure. Yeah, so for me, it was really good timing. Steven had time. You were on vacation, and he had the best vacation of his life. Uh, which I hope that situation you have had a chance, or you've already booked a date to speak to your boss about that, because I find that ridiculous. Needless to say, I'm not going into any details with everybody, but he just had a rough vacation where work basically wasn't being done, so he wasn't really being replaced, which really sucks. I hate that kind of stuff because it's just not right. But anyway, so we played, and Elliot was there. That's Steven's son, and it was hilarious. It was really really funny. So Steven would play for a little bit, and then he would play for a bit, and it was just a fun game. I truly have no memory of playing the second one. Um, I was playing as Iron Man for a bit, and Steven was as like the God of Thunder, and we were just going. I was Captain America, and it's clearly heavily influenced by all of the latest Marvel movies, but they did a good job. Also, as it went on, like Spider-Man was there, and I believe like some of the X-Men are there as it goes on because Wolverine was there. Um, and yeah, it's just fun. I mean, I don't remember, like I said, very much of the second one, but the online was just perfect. I didn't have any lag. I didn't have anything. Once we could connect after I beat the sort of first little intro area, we were able to connect. But as usual, like with Nintendo, we I don't even know how we would even speak to each other officially, so we just use Skype, and away we go. But it's fun. I had a good time.
Yeah, really. I think there's 10 chapters in all for the main game, and there'll be DLC if there's not yet. But what I like is that even though I'm sticking with the main characters, like I have Thor, Wolverine, Iron Man, and Hulk in my team because my son really likes to play as the big green guy, and I haven't changed them because they level up. But every time there's a cutscene, it's not necessarily your characters you'll see, it's the characters that are relevant to the story. So pretty much everybody, there's probably over 30 characters included, are have a huge part in the game. They also, when you recruit new characters, they usually are around or at the same level your top character is at the moment. And you also find like XP orbs everywhere that you could technically use to bring a certain character up to date. So if you really want to play as Crystal, for example, which I have no idea who she is, you could. And there's also opportunities to level up with like other missions, side missions that you can play at any time and play as much as you want. So really, really fun game. I love the RPG elements. There's a skill tree type of thing that can level up your skills, and there's various orbs you can equip, and you can also level up your abilities. So there's a lot of depth here, and it's a simple game. I love the fact that the puzzles are extremely laughably simple. Like that one I showed you where you had to push a statue on a clearly marked area, which was like something that you might find challenging in an NES game, but here it's like laughable. But I like that they kept it simple because really all we want to do is bash guys, and that's about it.
But yeah, I had a good time, seriously. But nothing beats playing with your son, the boss. That was the best thing ever. As he's beating the snot out of Iron Man, and I'm trying to take down Venom as Captain America. That was really funny. I was like, "That's right, man. You show Iron Man a thing or two."
At least he was actually attacking someone and not like the wall or. Oh, it's been
It's
really
fun.
fun and it adds an extra level of challenge playing with him.
But it's fun. It's really, really fun. Honestly, like if you guys are looking for something, just something no nonsense, no like doesn't take itself serious or whatever, give it a try because it's a fun game. It's a really fun game.
Yep. Before we move on to the main event, did you have any news item written down? I imagine no, right?
Well, nothing written down.
Okay, because I
Just
know
just
you
sorry.
you said last time you wanted to talk about the NPD sales data for July, since I think Nintendo had like 6 or 7 game in the top 10 and like 13 or 12 games in the top 20. I don't know if you have the list in front of you, but I know you wanted to talk about it
Yeah,
last.
what I wanted to talk about with this was well there's okay, so I have two basic news items. There's this that I wanted to talk about. I don't need numbers. It's okay. It's just to basically talk about the fact that like Nintendo is absolutely killing it right now. And I'll just don't let me forget that there is another news item and it's more pertaining to some Dragon Quest stuff. That's all.
Yeah, just have to put the dog out. I'll be right out.
Yeah, no problem. I'll talk to myself. It's fine. Again, the professionalism that we offer is the best. This is the greatest podcast in the world. But what I wanted to just mention just really quickly was the fact that like Nintendo has been bringing it. I mean, they have been bringing it this. I don't even want to say this generation. It's just like right now they're just absolutely crushing it. And the fact that like they're dominating the sales charts. I mean, for God's sakes, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, to give a little context here, was I believe number 4. Steven can correct me when he gets back, but
I am
I'm
back. I
oh,
just
was it
don't
number
have.
4?
I think so, yeah. I don't have
Yeah.
the numbers in front of me, but I'll check.
But I mean, like that's just that, right? Like just that is pretty impressive. I mean, I don't know how heavily marketed this game was or anything like that, but for being a Switch exclusive, this is a big deal. And the fact that Nintendo published this, it gives me a lot of hope for a game coming out on September 27th that I really want to do very, very well. Because I think it could have major ramifications
Okay.
for the future of the
I
series.
I have the numbers here if you want them. Well, not the numbers, but the charts.
Yeah, go for it.
And Nintendo has 6 of the top 10 games. So
Yeah,
number
okay, so
one,
give us the top 10.
number one was Madden NFL 20.
Mhm.
Fire Emblem Three Houses was at number two, and they were saying that like digitally it sold more than any Fire Emblem ever in history. And NPD, Nintendo doesn't release their digital sales to NPD, so these games actually sold more than NPD has. But yeah, I don't know why Nintendo doesn't release their digital sales. They would make them look better because their numbers would be higher, but whatever. Super Mario Maker 2 is at number 3. Marvel is at number 4. Minecraft number 5. Grand Theft Auto 5 still cannot stop selling at number 6. Smash Ultimate number 7. Mortal Kombat 11 number 8. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe number 9. And Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild number 10, which is now, well, has been for many months officially the best-selling Zelda game of all time, and I don't think nothing will ever uh, catch it. And I just want to say that notably, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe charted again at number 18. This is a game that was released in 2012, is selling today still for $80 Canadian, and it's been charting since March or May, whatever it was released. So clearly Nintendo has trouble doing any wrong right now because they can just re-release a 7-year-old game at $80 and still sell like I think it's at 4 million copies right now. So
I really want to stress the fact that this is very impressive for Fire Emblem. I mean, it's impressive overall. Okay, it is. It's impressive overall, especially Breath of the Wild now being officially like the top Zelda game ever made.
it's
And
not
so on
even
and so
close
forth.
too. I think
Yeah, I
like this
know.
has like a 4 or 5 million
Yeah,
head on the
yeah,
second best-selling Zelda game. So and it's
yeah,
still
yeah.
selling, so it's going up.
Oh yeah, no question, man. Seriously, no question. Anyway, so I look at this and I'm just like the fact that Fire Emblem was like number 2, and we don't even know, like exactly how well it did when you factor in like digital sales and stuff like that. That really does give me a lot of hope, because Fire Emblem, I mean, for a lot of our listeners, I don't know how hardcore they are, but Fire Emblem for a very long time was a Japanese only series. People tend to forget this, but its first entry in North America only hit way back on the Game Boy Advance. And people may not know this, but that's actually a Famicom series. Like,
Yeah.
that originated on the Famicom.
The Game Boy Advance game here was actually Fire Emblem 7. So it
Yeah.
was the 7th game in the series. And
Yeah.
this is why I don't understand Dragon Quest's struggle here, because Fire Emblem has, in the span of like since the 3DS game, has become like a very good seller for Nintendo here in
Yeah,
like
but you
4 or
should know
5
why.
years.
You should know why. Come on,
I'm
man.
just saying that it's possible to bring a
Me too.
Japanese
Yeah, and
series here and have success with it, because Fire
I-
Emblem is not exactly something you would think would succeed here. Because
And
how
I
many
100%
other strategy
agree.
RPGs are million sellers here?
None.
Yeah.
Seriously, like virtually nothing anymore. I mean, yeah. And I 100 billion% agree with you. And you and I have had the solution for years. We've had it for years, which is you can't expect a series to sell if there are no games available. It's as simple as that. If you want the series to sell, you have got to release games.
And worldwide, day one too.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing with Fire Emblem is Nintendo realized that during the Game Boy Advance days, and yes, there was a game or two that we missed. It's true, but for the most part, they pumped them out, man. Like, and it wasn't like, I mean, I'll be honest, guys, it's ridiculous that we had to wait a full year. It was 11 months, the delay between the Dragon Quest XI release in Japan and the Dragon Quest XI release in North America. That, in my opinion, is not acceptable in any way for a series as huge as that one is in one part of the world. And if you're a company like your Nintendos, or you're like your Microsofts or Sonys or Square Enix or whoever, if you are trying to build a series, it's just bad business to do this. It doesn't make sense to me that this continues to this day, and they're doing the exact same strategy. I know there's a lot of people that are like, oh, everything's changed now with 11, like everything's changed, you'll see. The truth is, yeah, I'm seeing all right. I'm seeing that nothing is changing. Like, where the hell is Rivals? Where the hell are like any of the other games that could easily be brought over? And you know which ones are the easiest to be brought over? Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3. Well, they didn't even bother to release the English versions, which already exist on the PS4 and the 3DS in North America. It to me, it's like you're not learning, and it sucks. It really, really sucks.
I've got one more too for you. And
Yeah.
if Square Enix really believes in the series, who is publishing it here?
Precisely. Bingo. Precisely. Are you aware, Steven, that the official Square Enix and Dragon Quest, North American Dragon Quest Twitter feeds have not made a single mention of Dragon Quest 11S because they're not publishing it?
No, they're not. And did you see? Nintendo is really pushing this game hard, by the way. Their
Of
YouTube
course.
account, they have dedicated many Treehouse during E3 to it, and they just dedicated yesterday a 30-minute
Yeah,
video of
I
it.
watched it. Yeah.
So, like, Nintendo is pushing this hard. Like, I don't know why. They're publishing it, so they want to be succeeded. But if it does succeed, watch what will happen next time. Square will publish it themselves, and Nintendo will basically have done this for Square. So it's not a bad strategy to, like, to publicize or market your games, but they're doing Square's job right here, because Square will own that IP forever. And there is also a PS4 version with a very similar name that people might easily get confused and buy that one over it. So
Yeah,
It's
man.
really strange that.
Yeah, no, there is more to this story than we are aware of. I've said this for years. I know for a fact that there is a publishing deal that dates back a certain ways because it doesn't add up. Like it just doesn't add up, right? I mean, Square Enix did a huge push for 11 on the PS4 and Steam. They had collector's editions. They had all kinds of stuff. And yet like now, I don't know. It's very reminiscent of Sony and Disney with Spider-Man in the MCU. I get that same sort of vibe
Yeah.
with Dragon Quest here, where it's like there's something going on in the background there that we don't know. That's why I much prefer Dragon Quest in Japan because it's all under one umbrella, and I love that. Like I love it. Like yesterday, I played the Japanese demo, and I started getting notifications of all these other goodies that are unlocking in all my other games and I'm like, it sucks. It really sucks that we're missing out on all of this. And it's like the series will never. I'll tell you right now, it will never take off if they don't treat it with respect and do like you say, day one release. Like Dragon Quest 12 needs to be worldwide day one release with a massive marketing push all over the world. And I'll be honest, right now, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, because as big as Dragon Quest is in Japan, like the cap of that series success is small because the best selling games are like 4 or 5 millions.
Yeah.
That's not huge here.
No, exactly.
For Square Enix, when they published Tomb Raider, it sold like 3 million, and they considered it a failure. So, like there's a lot of potential here for a series like that to grow. But
yeah.
Anyway, we've talked about that so much. It feels like we're just repeating
man.
ourselves, and we're just hoping, I guess, without. But the thing is, Smash is huge, and the hero just was released in Smash. So there's a huge potential here for this Switch game to do really well.
Yeah, precisely. And thank you for mentioning that because that's the one difference over what we normally talk about. I want to also just single that out. That when that announcement was made, we saw like 500 or something like that new subscribers to our YouTube channel. I noticed a spike in Twitter followers. So that's great. Okay? That's absolutely great. And I got my fingers crossed here that we're going to, like, that event will translate into sales of Dragon Quest XI-S. I'm really hopeful, and thanks to that demo, I'm hoping that. But I want to talk about that. We'll go into detail about that. Are we good with the sales? So I can move on to the other thing.
Yeah, you had one more news.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's not necessarily news. It's just we do have a huge, massive following. We probably have one of the largest Dragon Quest followings of any channel in North America. I know we're not like Happy Console Gamer or stuff like that, but in terms of like sheer hardcore Dragon Quest fans, I really don't know that many YouTube channels that have like as passionate fans as we do here. And anyways, I just wanted to make mention that on August 21st, Loft, which is it's a chain, think of it like it's not a supermarket, but it's like what do they call it? Like a grocery store type of thing, something like that. It's something like that, like a convenience store. That's the word I'm looking for. And it's a chain that's in Japan. And someone's going to correct me and tell me exactly. I just can't think of the name right now of what it is. But they have a gargantuan push right now in Japan marketing for Dragon Quest XI-S, and they'll be offering from August 21st till September 27th. They're offering all exclusive paraphernalia, memorabilia, whatever you want to call it, for Dragon Quest series. And the store, it's got a yellow motif. That's sort of the design of Loft. And so all of the slimes and other little plushies and stuff like that you can buy are all yellow, like colored or flavored or whatever you want to, call it, the theme. It's basically they're all everything's yellow, and so if you're interested in any of that, I originally said that this was only going to be available in store. Well, it turns out in September. Or very, very late August, they will be selling through online, I guess like an online portal, they will be selling the goodies, the exclusive merchandise, that's the word I was looking for before, online. Now, there will be a couple of things you won't be able to get that are remaining 100% exclusive in store, but I just wanted to let anyone know that is interested in this sort of stuff. It's going to be a really unique it's a unique opportunity to get your hands on some merchandise that will just never, ever, ever be made available in North America. So I just wanted to say that if anyone was interested, and also to let you know that if you do decide to purchase, not even purchase, sorry, but download the demo, you can download the demo from Japan just as easily as you can from North America, and it's region free. So if you play it and you happen to have Rivals installed, you can unlock the Luminary card right away. Like it'll just, as soon as you boot up the demo, save your game, boot up Rivals, and you'll automatically have the Luminary waiting for you, which is pretty cool. So just wanted to give people a heads up on that. And outside of that, there was going to be a North American DLC pack released day one on September 27th for free that will have a couple of bonus costumes. So you'll be able to get the 8 costume from Dragon Quest 8, and Veronica's going to have some cute little, I think it's a pig outfit or a boar outfit, something like that. And in Japan, so far, there's a Japanese exclusive costume for Eric, which can only be unlocked with a digital download code that's currently available as of August 21st in the V-Jump magazine. It's dated October 2019 on the cover. And you can currently pick that up on Amazon Japan, eBay, or wherever else you can get import magazines. But obviously that would be 100% exclusive to the Japanese version of Dragon Quest 11. So I just wanted to let you guys know all of that. And with that, we go back to Steven.
All right, so we can talk about the big story here we want to talk about, which is the Dragon Quest 11 Definitive Edition S demo. It was released yesterday. So you actually did a stream, like a 2-hour or 3-hour stream yesterday on YouTube, which was our first stream in many moons and was very, very popular. Many people went. You gave me the number this morning, how many concurrent viewers were there.
Yeah, 27 was the peak, which is awesome. That's amazing.
And so I asked you during the stream because I did this only once for Octopath Traveler, but I never really downloaded any demos on the Switch, and it was supposed to be on the eShop, and I could not find it. But you actually need to go on the Dragon Quest 11 page on the eShop, because you can, as of right now, well, maybe a few weeks ago, buy the game and pre-install it, and there's also a section for the demo, and there's another section to download some kind of free DLC or free bonus stuff that you can do as well. So go there and download that demo. Obviously, if you're listening to this, you probably already have or will do after. But yeah, it's a really... I just wanted to set this up first, because then Jarrod started streaming it and he played the Japanese version too as well. So what are your first thoughts about the game?
You can sort of watch my first thoughts if you'd like. I was really surprised by just how good it looks, if I may. I didn't really expect that. Now, to be fair, like I said in the stream, I don't have two screens side by side to like really critically look through all this. I'm positive the resolution's going to be a little bit lower. The frame rate looked exactly the same, though. I think it's locked at 30 frames per second, just like the PS4 version. But I was really, really impressed with the way it looked.
Were you playing in dock mode?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but last night I played the handheld version for the Japanese one. I just wanted to see if it was the same. Like that was the reason why I did that. And I know me, I'm gonna end up playing it again in Japanese and in English. Like I'm nuts. So that's pretty much gonna be my only game for the rest of the year, just so everyone is aware. Um, but yeah, so anyways, that aside, the little changes that I've seen so far I really like. I am pretty sure, but I'd have to go back to confirm, but I'm pretty sure in the other versions, when you trampled enemies with the horse, you did not get experience. I'm pretty sure that did not happen, but I don't want to confirm that. But still a nice touch. Obviously, it's not a nice touch if it's not new, but I'm pretty sure it is. The other thing that I really liked was the new, like, the PS4 version. Again, we have to, let's set this up. I only played the Japanese version of the PlayStation 4 version and the 3DS version. I played in 2D and 3D in Japanese, okay? So it's important to set that up because it is entirely possible that changes were made to the North American version that I did not know about, okay? But there was an auto run feature in the PlayStation 4 version where it worked exactly like Dragon Quest X. So basically, you clicked a button and your character would just automatically run, and then all you'd have to do is touch the analog stick. That does not appear to be the case here. In this one, what appears to happen is that you have the ability to do like a sprint where if you hold the button down, like the character just unlimited, like just runs like a bat out of hell. I actually really like that because the world is significantly larger than in the 3DS version, which for all of you listening is probably like under 1% of you have played the 3DS version. So it's important, like, because the towns and stuff are massive. So if you pull on the ZR button, you're able to just sprint. I really, really, really like that. The interface is also really cleaned up from, now that I believe was cleaned up in the North American version, but it's a lot nicer than it was in the Japanese version. And it was kind of funny because I was surprised that they didn't, all those tweaks that were made to the interface don't actually translate over to Japan, which I thought was very, very interesting. So I know it's nothing revolutionary, like Steven was joking with me last night, but it's still interesting that you still get the very basic transparent backgrounds on all of the options, like in the menu system. So I thought that was just really, really interesting that they didn't bother to just, I mean, my God, it's just like a color code, but they were like, no, no, we're going to keep it all basic and transparent. So I thought that was interesting. And the last thing is the music is fantastic. I personally had no problem with the MIDI soundtrack. I mean, that's just me, but having the symphonic soundtrack is excellent, and the voice acting up to now has been excellent. Has been absolutely excellent. Once you get over Gemma's annoying part in the beginning, where
Yeah.
she just won't shut up.
Yeah, that's her.
Uh,
I was gonna mention her, but
but yeah, the rest is good. But you should talk because like this is my series, so you should talk.
okay. So obviously, the only game I've played is the 3DS one. So I've never played the Japanese or North American PS4 versions, even though I have them. I never played them. Actually, my PS4 version, the North American one, I lent to a friend who played it. Who beat it like in 32 or 36 hours, and of course you'll say he didn't really beat it, but he got to the credits. But so this was my first experience, and like you said, like the game is so much larger than the 3DS version, to a point where I'm intimidated by the exploration you need to do in the towns, because I know this is a game. There are hidden items everywhere. There are especially mini medals everywhere, and I don't want to miss anything. But it's like, oh my god, there's so much ground to cover. The overworld is fine because you have a horse and you can, I told you, I was really impressed with the fact that you can run over enemies and get XP. It's just 1 XP right now, so eventually I guess it won't matter. But right now it does, because most battles they give you 7 to 14 XP, but by the time you end the battle, like by the time like you fight the enemies, you kill them, and then the battle screen finishes and you're back on the horse, it takes, you could probably ram into like a dozen enemies by that. So you can explore, just ram into enemies and you get your XP, and you can level up by battling someone after that. So that, like right now, I've been having a blast just ramming into enemies and exploring the overworld and just getting all the items and whatnot. The battle system, I don't remember about the 3DS, but in this one, it's like similar to Dragon Quest X, where you're like moving around. Really, it's not really necessary. But I changed it to classic, and
Yep.
I don't know if there's a disadvantage, but it's not necessarily as classic as I'd liked it to be. When I thought about classic, I wanted it like Dragon Quest 8, where you're basically the characters are just there standing and the enemies are in front of you, but it's not like that. But I guess that will do. I don't remember the 3DS. I believe the 3DS it was classic, right? The 3DS was like classic Dragon Quest, but I might be wrong about
Well,
that.
no, no, but whoa. I'm confused. When you put it into classic, what is happening that you're like? I don't follow.
Well, the screen is still 3D in classic, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was
Like,
expecting
'cause
it to be
there's
like a
no.
Dragon Quest 8. Well, it's still 3D, but the camera is behind you and you see the enemies in
Okay, okay,
front.
okay. So in other words, first person.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what you mean. Okay, all right. Okay, because like I put mine in classic right away because I don't want to move the characters around. That's 10. 10 is you're moving around. You don't have a choice. Like that's the way it is. And also the fact that like
I need to go. The
you.
dog wants to come back in, so I'll be
Yeah,
right
yeah.
back.
Go ahead, go ahead. On the 3DS, oh boy. I don't remember. I don't remember if you saw your dudes or if it went first person. Yeah, I don't remember, man. We'd have to check. We'd have to check one of our videos because I don't remember. I don't remember how it was.
Yeah, I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure
recall.
the camera was behind the characters.
Yeah, maybe, but okay. Well, that's interesting because for me, I don't give a damn.
Yeah, well, I prefer it in classic because at least it doesn't feel like it's a it doesn't feel like an action game. I don't know. It's just me. It's really little nitpick, but
But go back to the towns because I'm interested in that. When you say you feel like a little bit overwhelmed, in what dig into that a little bit more.
yeah, it's because I'm the type of guy, and this is why I like dungeon crawlers because they're a bit more simple to. I need to in the games I care about. I need to explore and know that I went to every corner and make sure I don't miss anything. And in these
Okay.
towns, especially in a huge 3D world like that, you have to start at the beginning and then every time you go somewhere you see two more areas that you have to go check to make sure there's nothing, and then you have to backtrack and you're not sure if you went to that house or you didn't because sometimes they look the same. So that's what I mean. There's a lot more stuff it seems than in the
Okay.
3DS, but
Okay.
it's mostly because the scale is up.
I get you. I get you. So keep going, man.
Okay, the first another thing I want to mention is it's really amazing finally to be able to play this game and know what's going on, understand what's going on. This like makes my time with the 3DS version so simple. It seems so simple now that you just need to concentrate really on the characters with the pink icons and the blue icons. And now when you do that, because the Japanese 3DS one, like I talked about a lot to the blue icons, and they gave me quests, but I had no idea what those quests are, and I don't think I completed many quests. While in this one, like the quests are really simple to complete because you know what you actually have to do. So that's a real bonus and a real plus for me to know what the story is and understand what they're saying. So it's obviously it's a no-brainer for everyone, but man, it's hard to play a 3DS, a Japanese RPG in Japanese. So that's a real plus for me. Really glad to be. And yeah, that's about it because I'm only 2 hours in the demo right now. And
Well, so am I. I'm only 3 hours in.
well, you've played it twice, so you're more like what 6 hours of gameplay.
Oh, I don't know. Something like that. It's fun though, man. Seriously, like I haven't played it for like what, maybe 8 months, something like that. And it's I hope I really do hope you enjoy the game, because I have been dying to talk to someone, like just speak to someone that plays through the post game, and I've never had that. Like you like the best analogy I can give you is sort of like your Pokemon, right? Where you're saying to me like, a lot of your friends now play PC games and stuff like that. I have never practically had anyone for the last like decade or so that played through the post game, and it it always bothered me. Starting with Dragon Quest 8, it has bothered me so much because it's sort of like seeing an amazing movie, right? Like you really enjoyed the movie, and then finding out that there's a director's cut that's released like a little bit later, and they added like another couple hours to like, or like an hour and a half or something to your movie, and it's not BS like footage, it's excellent footage, and you go back and you're like, wow, this is like amazing. And like Dragon Quest 8 was the first time people really started talking Dragon Quest like around me, and I tried for years to get people to play. I was like, guys, it's not like Final Fantasy, like when the credits roll, it's not over. Like, go back, trust me, go back. And no one ever listened to me. Like, no one ever listened. And what sucked so bad, especially for 8, and I'll put a spoiler here, but I'm not going to really say anything, but the post game is all about the hero. And I always thought that was so weird in Dragon Quest 8 as you played through the game, that every character you met had a chapter essentially devoted to them. So when you met Jessica, you played her chapter, so you got to learn all about her, and then she would join the party, and then you had Angelo, and you had all these other people, and Yangus, and you learned all about them. But the hero, you never really delved into his past, and that's so unlike most Dragon Quest games, where the beginning it's all about your character, and then they slowly introduce these other characters, and they saved that story section, that chapter was left for the post game, so that players that played through the game and actually went back were shocked, like absolutely stunned, to be like, oh wow, this is wicked. But I'm just so worried that the same thing is going to happen in 11, because it's already happening. Like all the people that I know who have played 11 on the PS4 never went back. Like they just never went back. They finished the game. They're like, wow, that was a good adventure. That was, it was epic. It was sad. It was funny. It was whatever. And they put it down in a way, and like that's it. Not realizing that, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, that the story itself unlocks a whole other branch when you come back to the when they come back to the game. And I've been thinking about this since the release of Dragon Quest XI on the PS4. I've really been thinking a lot about it, about what Square Enix could do better to explain to people that it's not over. Like I don't know what they could do, because I believe in this one it even tells you in the credits. I don't think it says the end. I think it says to be continued or something like that. So I don't know. I really hope that you enjoy the game, and that you enjoy the game enough
Yeah,
that
that's the key there,
you
because you're like the biggest fan I know, so you're gonna play this even if it sucks, and you're gonna play it in Japanese, you're gonna play it in Portuguese, you're gonna play it in
yeah,
every
you're
language
right.
out there, and you're gonna eat and demand more. So for me, my question is, does the game do enough to warrant people to come back and play more of it? Is it fun enough? Because with most JRPGs, especially if you're 40 or 50 or 60 hours in, sometimes you want the credits and you want to get out, because you've already have enough. But I do think you've explained to me that they give you something after the credits to level up your characters to a certain point,
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
speed up
so
the grinding
yeah.
process, because
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
my
yeah.
main problem with Dragon Quest compared to you that I've had in the past, is I don't know all the little secrets, the ins and outs, and the strategies. So most often, especially with 8, a bit less with 7, because with 7 there was a game I played that you gave me the most useful tips and whatnot. But with 8 and with every other game I've played in the series. Uh, Beating the game at the end, it's really a grind, and you by the end of the game, like I struggle and I barely make it through. So if I see with 11 that I'm 40 hours in, and man, I'm really struggling here, because the thing is, I expect to struggle with super bosses, with bosses that are after game, after the credits, whatever the case may be. But if I'm struggling with regular enemies, then maybe we'll see. Maybe if the game does a good job of hooking me and convincing me to play more, of course I'll play more. Like the Pokemon does this, even though like there's not really any story or any post game per se, but it's still, when I'm done with the credits in Pokemon, I spend another 200 hours into those games. So if the same is true with Dragon Quest, sure, I'll play more. Of course, I'll play more. I
Yeah,
love
I hope
this,
so, dude.
but it just
Honestly.
does the game do a good enough job? Because you're the exception to the rule. The game
I know.
could do a crappy
Yeah, I know.
job. You would still
Yeah.
play it. So
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
I'll be able to answer with this game.
Yeah, and I hope so. And that's why, like, for our podcast, I hope that I can get some updates on that. I mean, I'm here, right? Don't forget that. I am here, that I can help you out.
Yeah, but will I get a Dragon Quest 7, Jarrod, or the usual Jarrod? Because you're funny
well,
when you,
that's-
with your help, sometimes you give help in riddles. But with Dragon Quest 7, you actually gave me like a complete strategy guide in an email of how to do the classes, the jobs, and whatnot, that I was
Yeah.
really, really well positioned in that game. Because I actually enjoy grinding in JRPGs when I know what my goal is, when my angle is, and when I'm grinding towards to. I like that. Like Octopath Traveler, you didn't love the game as much as I did. I really loved that game because I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was grinding for. I loved the job system and whatnot. And the same was true with 7. So if it happens with this game, and I know what, because I know in the demo you said to the skill tree to go to the bottom to the sword, and that's what I'm doing in the demo here. I leveled up the first thing that was +8, and that seemed like a pretty good level up because it made you the blue, when you turn blue, I don't remember what they call it, but it made it like 3% faster or something like that. That seemed like a pretty good goal to get to. So stuff like that, like simple stuff like that. I don't expect like to have the best armor and the best gear as fast as you do, but stuff like that. Like if I know what I'm grinding towards, I really expect to have fun with this game, especially when it will be released. I will already have like 10 hours of gameplay into it, and I'll be good to go. So we'll see. But the game does need to do its job, convincing me that the post game is fun enough to invest another like 60 hours into it, because that's a lot of time.
Okay. No spoilers. Okay. The post game continues the story. Okay, so that hasn't been done in a long time, where it's like it really is the next chapter. It's not like, oh well, here's a 5 minute sort of thing, grind to level 99 and you got this. What I can do for the post game, because new skills unlock. I mean, I guess technically that's a spoiler, if you will, but I'm not giving you any details of anything. So those new skills, you need to, how can I say this, unlock them in a specific manner to make your life amazing. Like in 2 hours you can reach level 99. Like seriously, like I'm not exaggerating. It's just that certain characters have to be leveled up in a certain way in order for that to happen. But once that happens, you're gold. You're absolutely gold. But you're absolutely right, okay? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You're 100% right that that the game's got to capture you, right? Like if you don't even like the story, well then there's no, like, that's it, right? Like it's over. But if you do like the story, I just hope that for once I have someone close by that I can actually talk to about some of these things, because it's pretty awesome. I mean, I will not forget when I played through the 3DS version and realize like what was happening, I was like, this is freaking amazing. And then to take that and transfer that over to the PlayStation 4, where you get this giant epic adventure, and getting to see these scenes in in beautiful 3D, I was like, wow, this is pretty crazy. One thing I want to say that is not included in the demo is the 2D mode. So the 2D mode's not included in the demo, and that's cool. That's fine. That's an extra sales feature, basically, for the retail game. But the thing is, and I'm curious about this, I watched that little video. Did you watch the half-hour video?
I think I skipped through the last 10 minutes because I wanted the announcement of the demo and know if the files would transfer and whatnot.
Okay, because what I have not yet been able to find, okay, is what the heck happens with the retro areas. Like, how do you unlock the retro areas? I have not been able to find that. The video basically said you go to the town where the Yoshi are, and you can go into this room, and there you go. You can, you have the books there, and you can travel back and forward through different Dragon Quest game areas, and that's all fine. I obviously know how that works,
We
but what I'm
should be able to
curious
get there in
is,
the demo, right?
well, that's my point.
Okay.
My point is how does this work? Because in the 3DS version, once you left town, you were stopped by a Yoshi, and the Yoshi took you to the village. Like, they gave you the zoom ability to zoom into that village. You had to reach a certain point in the story, but it's really close to the starting area. And then from there, that unlocked the mini game, and that's it. And then you went through the mini game. You unlocked little scrolls. Those scrolls unlocked the retro areas, and away we go. But no one has talked about how we actually unlock the scrolls in this particular version of the game. So I have no idea. I've been reading everything. I've been like, it's not, I can't find that information literally anywhere. So I don't quite know. Yeah,
No,
I don't know.
I'll be curious because those were really fun. Even for me, I did a few of those retro missions, and yeah, no, I could have sworn though that was basically after the escape scene with Camus, but
Yeah, no, I think you're
or
right. I
Camus.
do. Yeah, that's right. Camus. Um, I I don't know, dude. I really don't know. Without going back, right? Obviously, without going back, I don't remember exactly where it was,
And
but you're
man,
right.
this really
It's right there.
brings back memories. I really wished I would have finished that game, man, because it was so fun. And I remember when I saw you then play the Japanese PS4 version, it was even better because you had. It feels like an almost different game, but it's the exact same game, just in HD, 3D, and bit larger scale. So it's. I would have like right now when I'm playing, like it's nostalgic for me because I've played this, but I've only played the game for 20 hours, which is realistically about 12, 13 hours of this game because I was playing in Japanese, so it took me way longer to do big basic stuff that it will now, but still, like right now, it's nostalgic for me, and I would have liked to play the entire game with that nostalgic level.
Yeah, man. And I think what we're gonna do is when Dragon Quest 12 hits. I mean, depending on on where it hits and whatever, where and when. I think I'm gonna buy it for you, and we're just gonna play together. Like, we'll just go through it together. Because I did help you out with this one too. But one thing that I did screw up is I should have told you to make the battles automatic. I didn't. I just never even thought of that until the PS4
Yeah,
version.
that would have because that was the thing I was struggling the most with was
Yeah, I
always
know.
going in the menus and okay, where is that attack again? Because they learn new moves, so now it's not here.
Yeah, it
And
shifted.
yeah,
Yeah.
man, that was if I would have put it automatic, like yeah, because I don't, maybe I'm wrong, but the main game seemed a bit easier than usual, but maybe it's just maybe I was wrong, but it did not
No, no,
necessarily
maybe,
seem
maybe.
as challenging as 8 or 9 or 7. It was just, and that's a smart thing. I think JRPGs, because of the grind required, should be just a bit more like easier and have the
Mhm.
super bosses and the extra areas like be hard. Like that was anyway. But because I made it far, and I don't think I died many times if I did.
No, I
But
no, I think you were just getting frustrated with the battle
the
system, was it
battles and
not?
not knowing where I needed to go, because at the end, like I had access to like a ship or an airplane. I don't remember what it was. So I had to basically the hold most of the world map on lock and access to all these towns, and no clue which town is the correct one I
Yeah,
needed to
yeah,
select.
yeah.
So that was like I think the last thing I did was like an underwater mermaid or the
Yeah,
king
okay, that's
stuff. I
right.
don't know if that sounds any bell.
Were you okay, I don't want to say this, we're going to spoil stuff, but did you I don't know how to say this without spoiling something, so I won't say
We're
it,
an
but
hour in, just say it. Be warned,
okay, well,
people.
spoilers. Yeah,
Spoilers. So
spoilers,
shut
spoilers.
this off. We're almost
Were
done if you want to, but yeah,
okay, were you a fish?
yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so then you were already after the Calamity event. You were right in the end game, dude.
Okay.
That's right towards
I
where
don't think so then, because I was only 20 hours in.
no, no, but that's why I keep telling people. It's I say 40 to 60 is what I said, and then sometimes I'll say 60 to 80, but I think realistically it's 40 to 60, because if I recall correctly, my save file when I finished the game was somewhere in that ballpark, was like 40 to 60. What I did not, and I was honestly, I was a little disappointed because I was like, what the hell? But it's because I didn't realize that they saved like a gargantuan storyline for the end of the game. I didn't realize that, and so that added a huge amount of time. This is why I'm saying, like, your friend there that beat it in like 30 something hours, it's like, well, like, sort of, you know what I mean? Because it's like it's like the story
Yeah,
continues,
I told
like,
him to, and he was like, I don't want to. I don't want to play this anymore. So at least
but
he
that's,
played it
anyways,
for
that's my
30
point.
hours. That's pretty good. That was
No,
his
no, that's
first
good.
Dragon
But
Quest
you are
mainlining.
further, you're much further than you think, is my point. Is what I'm saying, because with the Scroll of Resurrection, which obviously is not in the North American version, that's Japanese exclusive. That allows you to transfer your data from the Switch version and the PlayStation 4 version back to the 3DS version and vice versa, so that you can continue your game. But it has a cutoff, and the cutoff is right what you just described.
Okay.
That's the cutoff. So that's because you're just about to get to the last portion of the game. And so yeah, you made it far, dude. I remember being very impressed with how far you made it. Like, but the thing was, it was a pain in the ass for me to have to show you, like, it's cumbersome because nothing's in English, right? So like when you play Dragon Quest 7, it's easy because I can write you a guide and say like, okay, so you start here, you do this, you do that, this is what we do, and blah 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 blah. But that's not easy to do in Japanese, because where the hell do I get the Japanese names from? And it's not easy. It's not as easy. But in terms of 11, if you need any assistance with it, I have to obviously get back in the game. I can't tell you stuff from like just, the top of my head, and I have to relearn some of the strategies because the battle commands were all in Japanese, right?
Yeah,
So I
no,
need to
the
relearn.
tips that I'm looking for is the abilities that you should concentrate on
Yeah, that's
leveling
what I'm
up.
talking about.
And let's say
Yeah.
I'm in a certain area, and you know that, okay, in this area you should defeat this many enemies to get this much items, because you'll need later on for the
Yeah,
specific
yeah.
items. Like stuff like that is what I'm looking for. Like I don't mind not, because I would like to play a Dragon Quest game like you and have the best equipment. That's something I would love to, but I know that to get the best equipment, you need to take notes or know what you are doing and
Yeah,
stuff
so
like that.
what yeah, no problem. So what I'll do is once the game comes out, I mean, obviously everything depends on school. While doing this, an email just popped up and they're like, "Oh, your first assignment is due next week on Friday." I'm like, "Oh, that's fantastic." You know what I mean? It's like my first day of class is Friday next Friday. And I just get an email saying your first day of class, you have an assignment due. I'm like, oh, that's wonderful. That's just wonderful. So I mean, everything depends on school, but I will try my best to make this an enjoyable experience for you because seriously, man, it's so unfortunate that I just don't like I can't talk to anybody about any of this.
Yeah,
It's
but
like
you
one of
do
my
have
favorite
one
franchises.
giant tool is those streams, and what you did yesterday was awesome. Like that, like I've never seen, and I've been to many of Tim's streams, and those are fun. But your stream was like there was a lot of people there, many comments, and it was like watching like a professor. Like you know this series, you know that game, and you can bring so much knowledge and hype to the North American audience, and also grow our channel because the numbers don't lie. People want Dragon Quest content on your channel, so
And
it's
you always say
really
your channel. Damn it, it's our channel.
it's really fun. So this is I'm really jealous because I would love to do the same for Pokemon, even though I know Pokemon, if I ever stream the game, will not be as huge, but I know I could grow it. And
That's it.
that's
That's it.
that's
No,
what
but
I
that's
like.
it, dude.
I like
Yeah.
to share a passion because, like you, with Pokemon, and I don't want to talk Pokemon much, but like I have you to talk about Pokemon, and that's about it. Like
Well,
maybe
that's
in a
it,
few
dude.
years when Elliot learns to read English, like I'm sure he'll love that game. He'll love that series, and that'll be something to do. But yeah, it's always like it's fun to talk about stuff.
Well, that's just it. And unfortunately for Tim, he didn't listen to the advice I gave him because he was very like discouraged. And we'll wrap this up here soon. He was very discouraged with some of his streams and stuff. And I told him that you've got to stick with something. Like jumping around all over the place is okay, but you gotta stick with something because if I'm watching you and I'm like, oh, this looks interesting, and then the next week it's something else, I might not,
Yeah.
I might just not be like, well, I don't give a crap
The
about that. I'm
problem
more
with
interested in this.
Tim is that he's streaming like 12 million games at a time and never completes a single one of them. If he would stream like 2 or 3 games, that would be fine. Like one game
Yeah.
on Sunday, one game on Monday, one game on Wednesday. But the Dragon Quest streams, like I don't know what's up, but he started that almost when the PS4 release, which was last September, and he's only at
Yep.
episode like 14 or 15 because he took like a 3 month absence from the game, then went back to it, and he needs to play that game and like
Well,
stick
he
to
has
it.
he has 1 month.
Yeah.
Literally 1 month. And I told him that I was like, if you can't finish this within a month, no one's gonna care because everyone's gonna come back, watch the videos like while you stream, and be like, why the hell are you playing an inferior version?
Yeah.
Like why aren't you playing like the latest version? But anyways, whatever. For the stream, for the demo though, absolutely. When I go home today, I won't be able to do 3 hours, that's for sure. But I'm hoping that I can get in at least an hour
Yeah,
or
no,
2 hours.
I'm looking forward to that. And will you publish the whole stream on YouTube? Why not? If it's there.
Yeah. Dude, it would have been published today, but I forgot that you had your Pokemon thing, and not today, yesterday. I would have put it live right away,
Yeah,
but
you
I
go
knew-
ahead. Doesn't matter because this is live
Well,
content, so it won't interrupt. You should always just put it
Okay,
ahead.
well, whatever. Because like today, we have our Dragon Quest X video up. But tomorrow is when I was gonna like if I do a stream today, I'll just post.
Yeah, because what
both
I
of
mean
them
is that
tomorrow.
even if you have a stream today and a stream tomorrow, like these streams, especially with hot topics like this, doesn't necessarily mean to be once weekly. They should be
Oh no,
as they happen
absolutely.
and
Yeah, precisely.
complement your other
Yeah.
videos.
It's just at 3 hours, it took like 12 hours to process it on
Yeah.
YouTube. So like I couldn't have made it live yesterday even if I wanted to. And then I was like, ugh, but do I post it like today to push? Because it basically when you publish it like after the stream is done, it becomes like an uploaded video, right? So it'll knock whatever I have on there, it'll knock it down. And so I was like, yeah, but it's Dragon Quest X. That's one of our staples. Like I'm not sure, should I do it, or I wasn't sure. Anyway, that's it.
All right, so I guess we'll
So,
end
blast
with
from
our
the past.
blast from the past, which has the potential to be our first repeat because I didn't go back and I wanted to be Dragon Quest related because obviously this was going to be a big Dragon Quest show. So I wanted it to be my favorite Dragon Quest game, which is Dragon Quest 7, and I want it to be the 3DS version,
Nope,
which
that's not a repeat.
you're sure?
No repeat.
Really? I
Yep.
could have sworn we had it, but anyway.
No, because that's current gen, dude. Like,
Yeah, but I've had a Wii U game before. I've
yeah,
had a free
yeah, yeah.
3DS game before, so it's the blast from the past only mean that it could be a game that was released yesterday. That's technically the past. But yeah, Dragon Quest 7 on 3DS is my blast from the past. It's also my favorite Dragon Quest game. This I had an awesome because when this was released, we did something similar. We had a podcast the same week this was released when we both had like 5 or 10 hours each playing in the game. You probably had more, and we did a podcast dedicated entirely to our thoughts on this, and it was awesome because I had a lot of different stuff to say compared to you in different perspective of this game, and we had a nice back and forth discussion on Dragon Quest 7. And this game ended up being my favorite in the series yet, and it was really surprising because there's a lot of stuff that I don't necessarily like about the game. A lot of backtracking. You basically need to do each dungeon 4 times, and it would have been even worse on the PlayStation 1 because I know all the improvements they made to the 3DS, but that has got to be one of the best ever remakes or renditions of a game ever because they've actually improved the game significantly from the original source, which is not always the case with remakes, but this one, bravo, they really did an amazing job. And I really love the class job, whatever you want to call it, system. And the story was awesome too. Really love it. And I know I never did the post game, but I played it for 84 hours, and I really felt like I got every cent out of that game. And yeah, Dragon Quest 7, fantastic game.
Yeah, that really is. The post game for that one is it's I know like some hardcore fans are gonna kill me or whatever, but that one is a little hard to get into if it's your first post game. And the main reason why is because it requires a very specific form of grinding, and it was designed to take like 100 hours. I'm not kidding, man. Like, it takes a long time, and it has to do with enemy hearts and recruiting specific enemies, because you actually fight God in that's the super boss. Spoilers of that one. I think in the 3DS remake, if I'm not mistaken, it was the Almighty is what they called it. But in the English version on the PS1, it was actually God. You fought God and won. Like, it's ridiculous. It's completely
No, but
ridiculous.
I love even in the
But
main game. There's a part where you actually resurrect God or a superior being like that, and it's a really nice twist because he turns out to be a bad guy, and I really love
mhm.
that part because I don't know, it was really fun.
Yeah, it is. It's super super fun. That's not one
Like that's
that
a
I
game
typically
that
recommend.
80 hours in, I was still hooked to that game.
Yeah, which is
Really,
great.
really awesome.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
longest
that's
amount of time I've put in a Dragon Quest game too, by far.
and it is outside of 10. That's the longest. I believe that still
Well,
is the
if you
longest
count 8,
one.
because 8 I played on the 3DS for like 42 hours, but I also played 40 hours or more on the PS2 version. So maybe 8 is more, but that's technically 2 games. But yeah, Dragon Quest 7, I don't know. One of these days I'll have to do my top 10, my top 20 3DS games, and I think 7 will actually be in maybe the top 5. So yeah, really love that
Awesome,
game.
awesome. And with that, we're going to say thanks for watching, everybody, and hopefully you've enjoyed our stream and our chat and everything else. And we will catch you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.